Hey guys, so your girl's back with the consistency. Um, if you are new to my channel, welcome. My name is Jen. I am a registered nurse. I have my BSN and I also have a bachelor's in public health. On this channel, I talk about lifestyle, I talk about nursing, especially this is my first year as a nurse. I work on a cardiac step-down unit, and I pretty much talk about all the trials of COVID. I talk about patient stories, and I just talk about my lifestyle, especially now that I wear my hijab. If you guys are interested in my brand and my lifestyle stories and my journey, then please subscribe down below and stay tuned. In today's video, I'll be talking about how a patient chased me around the unit. If you want to hear this funny story, then stick around and watch till the end of the video. Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Jen, and pretty much I'm going to tell you guys about how a patient pretty much chased me around the unit. I know, like, I feel like my life is just a story, and these patients just be trying me, as well as these co-workers. They be trying me, and I be trying to contain myself, but it's hard. It's real hard for me. And I feel like it just comes with like growing up and just being an adult. But sometimes you really gotta get these patients in check because they will try you. So this is the story time of how a patient chased me around the unit. If you are new to my channel, welcome. My name is Jen. I'm a registered nurse, and subscribe down below if you want to see about my lifestyle, my journey in my first year as a registered nurse working in a cardiac step down, especially during COVID, and just like my daily life. My life is interesting. Okay, so let's just move on to the story. So pretty much it was like a regular shift. The way COVID has been recently, we've been typically having 5 patients on a step down unit, and to me that's kind of crazy because especially my unit is kind of like the dumping ground. So we get all types of patients. We're a cardiac unit, and we're supposed to get patients after cardiac stents, after they've had carotids done, and just a whole bunch of cardiac positions. But when I first came onto the unit, after I did a residency program, we were stuck COVID. So all I knew was COVID for a while until we were trained to deal with our vascular patients and our regular heart failure patients. And then I kind of got back into the move of dealing with those type of patients. But like I said, we're a unit that's a step down unit, and the way COVID has been, the way the flow of the hospital has been recently, we just get everything in general. Our floor is just known to get everything. So it was a regular day. I think I had about 5 patients, which is crazy. But nonetheless, I had about 5 patients, and our unit is like a U. So it's a U, and when you first come onto the unit, you have the clerk's desk, and then behind the clerk's desk is the charge desk. And then you can either go one way towards the back or on the left side towards the back. Either way, it meets in what we call District 3. Where the charge desk in the first area you come to, that's District 1. And then if you walk up a little on the right side, there's District 2. So we have 3 districts. That's how our unit is split up into. So this night I was in District 2, and recently I've been working a whole lot of night shifts. And then, so like I said, we were really short. I had 5 patients, and the whole night I just felt like I was just running around. I was trying to get things done because I want to get out on time. I don't care if I got 6, 7 patients. I'm getting out on time, okay? So one of my patients was contact isolation. If you don't know what isolation means, that means they have like something that can be transmitted pretty easily. So whether it be COVID, whether it be MRSA or C. diff or RSV, just all these different contact things. So you have to put on the appropriate attire. My patient in this case had RSV, and she was a big fall risk. She was an older woman, confused, and her bed alarm went off. So her bed alarm went off, and I'm already thinking like, so pretty much on the screen, we have a screen, like a TV that tells us like bed alarm, or somebody rings their call bell, or somebody's in the bathroom, blah, 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 blah. And it'll tell you the room number. So I see like room 16, right? I'm like, room 16? And for the most part, she was oriented. Like, she knew where she was. She knew her name. She knew who I was. She knew why she was there. But as the night started to go on, we call them sundowning. So that's typically, I mean, it's not just older patients. It happens to other patients too, but it's typically our older patients that when like the sun goes down, they get a little wacky, they get a little confused, they don't know where they are. And then like when the sun comes back up during the daytime, they're like back to normal. So she was one of those. And so I'm like, call bell. I'm like 16 bed alarm, and that's like facing like right where I am sitting in District 2. So I like run, and I'm like trying to put all my stuff on, trying to put on like a plastic gown. I'm trying to put on we already wear a mask clearly because it's COVID. Put on a plastic gown, um, put on everything I need to put on, and go into her room because I do not need her falling on the floor. Number one, it's all this paperwork. She gotta go to get a CT of her head. It's this whole big headache. And I just was trying to avoid it. So I was trying to get her room, put all my isolation stuff on. And in the process of me doing that, I said, oh, let me just grab her 5 a.m. meds. So I'm doing that. I'm outside the room getting dressed, and there had been a patient who had been like roaming around, walking around. He was an older guy, just really kind of arrogant, just kind of like talking down to nurses, talking down to staff. And I didn't pay any mind because he wasn't my patient, like I'm just minding my business. So I'm putting my stuff on, and mind you, he has a robe on top of his gown. He thinks he's at home. Okay. And so he comes up to me after he done just walked around the unit with his nurse, and he's like, on all of our patient doors we have signs that say like how they move. Are they like a one assist, which means they just need one person by? Do they use a walker, cane, whatever? Are they independent? And I think his said ×1 with a walker. And so he was just so fixated on what that sign says. And he says, can I ask you a question? I said, sure. And I had already heard that he had been like causing issues with other people, just being really rude. And so I was like, sure. And he's like, what does it mean when the sign on the door says ×1 with a walker? And I said, oh, it just means that you need to have somebody else with you when you move around the room or on the unit. And it's not really restricting you, but it's just for safety because our patients tend to be on these blood pressure medications and other medications that'll just make you at a higher risk for a fall because it just throws off your balance, like your equilibrium. So he's like, but my cardiac doctor cleared me and told me I can walk home alone. I walk alone at home with no assistance, and my nurse said that I'm fine, that I can walk clear, and now you're telling me that I need to walk with a walker. So this is my face. I like halfway have my gown on. I like halfway, I have like a med in my hand. Mind you, this patient's bed alarm is still going off. So I'm like, what? I'm like, excuse me, sir, you asked me a question. I don't really know. You would just have to take that up with your nurse. So he's like, but you told me this is what the sign said, and my doctor cleared me, and I can walk fine. I just walked around this unit. I said, sir, I don't know how you move around. Just ask your nurse. I'm sorry I couldn't help you. And so I was just trying to get in a patient's room. So he says under his breath, he starts like walking, puts his hand in his robe, starts walking. He's like, well, I'm sorry I asked you a question. So I just looked, and my mouth was like, I was like, it was one of those situations that I just couldn't hold my tongue. Like, it just wasn't happening. So I was like, excuse me, sir, you've been rude all night. There have been multiple instances where staff has said you have been rude. It is 3 a.m. in the morning. You should honestly be in your room. And you asked me a question. I don't know anything about your status. I don't know anything about how you move. And so he's like, you know how entitled people talk. Excuse me? So I said, excuse me, you've been rude all night. So then I started walking. His nurse is in District 3, which is a little down the hall. So I started walking. I'm pissed at this point. Mind you, the bed alarm is still going off. He like starts following me. He was like, excuse me. I just hear him in the background. I'm like, Jen, you need to get your patient. It is 4 in the morning. I'm trying to get in room 12, 14, whatever room I was going to. I'm trying to get in this patient's room. You see, I have my gown on, like the blue gowns we wear for isolation, like the plastic ones, and I have like my gloves on and stuff. And I'm like, I'm just trying to. He comes up to me and I explain the story to her, and she's like, and the nurse is like really chill. Her name is Jen too. She was like really chill. She was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. She was like, girl, he's been acting like that all night. Don't even worry about it. So he still follow me saying whatever. So I keep going. Like I said, our unit is a U. So I keep going around. I let Jen like handle him because I think by then he was like where his nurse was. So I went up to the charge nurse, and of course I'm like pissed at this point because I'm like, he's not even my patient. Whenever I try to mind my business, people just be coming for me. So at this point, he's still following me around the unit. So I'm at the charge just explaining what happened, and she's like, well, he should really be in his room. It's like 4 in the morning, and he shouldn't be walking around. And mind you, I told him that's when I was talking to him, I told him that thing is probably old because sometimes people use permanent marker and it doesn't come off. They don't use the dry erase, and it could be from an older patient. It might not even apply to him. But you know, when people are entitled, they just hear one thing, or people have selective hearing, they just hear one thing. So I done made a lap around the unit, and I'm back in my patient's room, and she's sitting on the side of the bed with a smile on her face. I said, where are you going? I'm coming in right now. She's like, I'm going downstairs. I said, there is no downstairs. Do you know where you are? And I try to reorient her. So by the time I look around, his room was like next door to where my patient's room is that I was going in. He's back where I was, and he's just standing. He's like looking at me. And then it looks like he wants to say something, but he ends up just like deciding against it. But anyway, that was one of those situations that I just was like so over him. And I was praying that the next day that I come back, that I wouldn't, it wouldn't be my luck, that he would be assigned as a patient to me, because that is my luck and that is usually what happens. So anyway, that's kind of how the night ended. Aside from him like staring at me through the door while I'm in the other patient's room, and I could see him out like my peripheral vision, he kind of went back to sleep. I think he got back in bed, and then we didn't see him on the rest of the unit. But like I said, sometimes you have to tell these patients about themselves because they feel so entitled. And it's like, I love being a nurse. I love taking care of my patients. I love taking care of people. But do not feel like I am not your maid. I am not your housekeeper. I am not your nutritionist. I am your nurse. I'm here to take care of you, get you well, and get you home. All that, anything extra in between. And when you try me, old Jen comes out. And your girl is working on that. But if you want to hear more story times like that, subscribe to my channel, follow my social media, and I will be back. Like I said, I'm going to keep up with the consistencies and just tell you guys about my nursing journey, because like I told you, I also work in psych and I worked in pediatrics, and I just have all these stories. Of course, I'm going to keep it confidential just for patient safety. I'll make up made up names and whatever. But yeah, that was the story about how a patient chased me around the unit. My regular. All right, guys, subscribe down below, and I'll see you soon.